everyone. Today is Monday, April 18, and good morning from the Eastern Standard Time Zone in the global north. Just wanted to share a couple things. Actually, this morning I got up and I was like, wow, I feel really refreshed. And I wrote in my little journal book. I always write in my journal every morning. You can see the patronage to the Canadian nation state, but that doesn't take me away from the essence of who I am and what informs my practice, my behaviors, my mannerisms, and additional things. So I was thinking about some things, and I was like, you know what? We really need to put ourselves out there from a Canada nation-state perspective, because it seems like there's a lot of misperception in the world that, first of all, Canadian persons are white people who wear lumberjack jackets and drink beer, and that's bullshit. I would probably say a lot of die-hard, rugged, real Canadian nation-state people don't even do that shit. We're really into nature, we're really into preserving the environment, but working with the ecologies of the environment. And not against corporations, because corporations help to sustain activities related to industry. So we're definitely not against corporations. We're totally for them. We work with them, we work in them, and I was just thinking, and I said to myself, there's nothing out there that even talks about, like, what about the black experience in Canada? Like, are we just all kind of just sitting there twiddling our thumbs? Are we there, fucking up our genetics? Like, what are these people in Canada, these black people doing in Canada, right? So what are their experiences? Do they go through racial profiling? Is there someone like a Sandra Bland? Unfortunately, there's many of them in Canada. What about biomedical profiling? Like, what are these things that black women are experiencing in Canada? And so that came to me, and I was like, you know what? I need to actually develop that even further. And I was just reflecting on sort of, what I've done with my social media video presence. And I got a really nice little notice the other day, I think about 2 years ago or a year ago or a couple weeks ago. I can't even remember. And but it was recently. And it said that, it was congratulating me for an increase in my viewership. So I'm not really focused on like getting 20 trillion people to watch my thing. I'm just interested if just one person just responds, like one person watches, that's it, the entire stuff. And we really need to put ourselves out there, because there's beautiful black women in Canada. I mean, we're just like, we're very nature oriented, very natural looking, and we speak with ethics, we speak with dignity, and even though we're busted down by the supremacy of whiteness system in Canada, we also have different ways of not coping, because we don't agree to abuse, so we don't cope with abuse, but navigate the matrix and push them back, or push the system back, or not push the system back, dismantle it would probably be better in Audre Lorde's words. It's just dismantle that, whatever that stuff is. And we need to put ourselves out there. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to convert my whole place into a studio. And while I'm working on negotiations, like right now, I'm in the process of acquiring 5 buildings. And, each building I'm going to turn into some kind of environmental justice production center, and develop the conception of Dr. Robert Bullard, and also talk about investments and equity, and I'm sorry, not equity, but economics, sorry, and economic sharing. Like, there's this thing in Canada, oh wow, we're diverse and multicultural and, bullshit. There's a lot of problems in Canada, and it seems like the more emphasis on this thing called diversity, like diversity can work for plus and it can work for a negative. But me personally, I do not want to be assessed on the fact that I have a female anatomy. I don't want to be assessed on the fact that maybe, sometimes I may speak with a different type of pronunciation. And I don't want to be judged on superficial things. So I decided that this morning I'm going to call my television network, I think. I don't know if it's a television. I would say probably communications network. And I've been working on this since 1996, so I've been like, wow, I can actually do this, I can do that, and I like to put quality into my work. I don't look for, like, what do they call them, fast half-ass jobs and stuff. Like, I don't do that kind of thing. Like, if I'm working with something, I'll ponder it, I'll try and draw it out, because I can't draw, but I'll really try my hardest to draw, put little sequins on there, and really jazz it up really nice, in a, sexy guitarist way. So, in a non-sexualization way. So, yeah, I was like, you know what, like, we really have to put our presence out there, because people have this misperception that we're just a bunch of idiots, we're hookers, we're prostitutes, we're not academics, we're not like historians, we're not like, I don't know, productive people in society. And I'm going to engage with that. I'm going to like develop that, and I'm going to expose everything and expose it in a way to show how the supremacy of whiteness also works in Canada, especially under red governance. Like, that's one thing I noticed, is that there's no television show out there that actually engages with governance from a Canada disposition. Now, some people can say, oh my God, that's an idea, I'm going to go for it. You know what, go for it. And just make sure you cite your source, always. And I don't have a problem sharing ideas, because the way I think about things is the ancestors and the vastness of, like, the universes and, the moons and the stars and the suns and, the different planets out there. There's all these different forces of transmitting information. And, what has been transmitted to me, I serve as a conduit to transfer information through me. So it's not that I, have no positionality or no disposition or anything like that, but, we have to get ourselves out there and say, look, hello, we're not all like, idiots out here in Canada. We have our problems that we go through. Like, I did a little short documentary. It was, I don't know, I just turned on my camera and started rolling. I've never been to a class about how to do a documentary, and, I'm like, do I want to learn from a white supremacist position, right? So if I'm really struggling, then I'll enroll in a class on how to do documentaries from an ethical, non-white supremacist position, because quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of this bullshit called the supremacy of whiteness, and how it's penetrated so many aspects of our being that we truly are a special people. Because I remember I asked somebody years ago, it was a white person, I said, what would, like, if they were running off their mouth or whatever. And I said to them, I said, what would you do if in 5 minutes what you know as white became black? So all the magazines, all you see is just black women, black males, black relationships, black children, and everything that you saw that was white was just a black face now. And the person said that they would kill themselves. And I thought to myself, you know what, I really don't know who my friends are, and I really need to understand who are these people that are really close to me, because if you can say something like that, then why are you around me? So on the other hand, I'm like, you know what, that's actually not the Canadian way, is that you're supposed to reach out to your fellow vulnerable person, but not in a way to colonize their disposition. Help them up with economics. Like the other day I was reading about this black woman who was pregnant, homeless, and she was sleeping on a park bench, and she was clothed very provocatively. And it looked like it was in a very warm place. So anyways, this black guy said, look, I found her, I gave her $6,000, and I put her up in a hotel for 6 months. And I thought to myself, how come those stories are not in the media that we can read about? That guy deserves a really nice hug. And I think his name was Fix, F-I-X. And I just wanted to say, you know what, if he's watching, thank you. Like, that's awesome. That's awesome. And what happened to our social system? Why couldn't she go to the social well-being office or the social upliftment office? Like, they have to reterm these things instead of social services. And why couldn't she go there and say, look, I need some help. I need a home. I need an education. I don't even know what I need. And why? Right? So I just wanted to say, yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm going to call my communications network Black Educational Television. And, people can go out there and fight. I mean, I've been doing this since, I don't know, 1974 or something. And, they can go and fight and say, oh, I'm the first to do this and blah, 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 whatever. So you're the first to actually take a picture of air, right? You're the first to, you're going to start like colonizing air as well. Colonize air, and you know what happens to you? You end up dead. So, you know what? I'm not even worried about that bullshit stuff out there, because when there's a will, there will always be that way. So, I just wanted to share some thoughts with you, and also let you know that I'm going to redo my entire place into a studio. And until I get these buildings, the stuff all sorted out. And they're fairly good sized buildings where people can come, and if they're interested in working for the mandate of my organization, I think people would have a lot of fun actually. And looking at salaries and stuff, and I'm like, from a Canadian perspective, at least $100,000 to start. And I'm only looking at economic segregation communities, so I'm looking at recruitment from there and getting people into, for example, ways of being where they're not forced, they're not beaten down to stay on the system, be on welfare, supplement your income with drugs, and deteriorate yourself, and buy into this notion that self-hatred is okay. And so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So was it last week or the week before, I was like, I'm gonna put a couple what do you call it, advertisements in a couple newspapers. Um, there's some community newspapers, and I want to try and go into like non-English speaking newspapers as well. Like the Somali community is very large where I am, and 60% of the time, I guess, 70%, I don't even know. And I'm like, you know what? I want to like put something in their newspaper, and get them engaged and, let them know, look, we are black people, and regardless of how you think of yourselves as like not black people, you need to understand something about the Canadian nation state. And under the red governance, yes, there's a lot of problems. Red governance, and then, get into the whole analysis. So, red governance, for example, they have no morals, they have no ethics, they have no mission, nothing. So what that tells us is that it's okay for them to actually do free reign on us. So they can do anything with our bodies, they can do anything with our families, they can take away our children, they can socialize our children to hate themselves, and so children go into, all sorts of situations. And, red governance is a huge problem in Canada. And, there's like this need to talk about governance. Like you see these like political commentaries and stuff, and I'm like, you know what? It sounds so animated and it sounds so orchestrated. And that's sort of the US version of stuff, but I'm just like, you know what? No, I need to just bring it in where we are casual, right? And some days my hair is going to be all over the place, and some days I'll be looking really good. And, sometimes I'll come in with my cowboy hat and, co-producers and stuff, executive directors and stuff. Come in the way you feel, and let's just get to work, get our stuff done, and have a good life. And that's the Canadian nation state from a blue perspective, is that what do you need? Have you heard? Are you interested in entrepreneurship? Oh wow! Why don't you try having your own multinational? Multinational. Oh no, that's a little bit too big. And just get into stuff like that. And that's where blue comes in. And then you have like the oranges. They're just kind of like, oh, let's let those persons work, and we'll just smoke up and dope up, and we believe that there should be the social infrastructure in place, but the unions need to be white, and let the black ones have their own little whatever, and to me I find that kind of draconian, and I find it very backwards, and I find it very racialization instigating. So I just wanted to say that I got up this morning and I was like, wow, my ideas are really flowering, and let me just journalize stuff and just work what I need to do. So work at what I need to do. So I came up with this really nice little motto. I was just kind of laughing. What did I say? We don't follow trends. We actually establish them. And I don't know if I should give the name of my I don't know. I don't know if I should give the name of my website. I'm actually working on it right now. And oh my gosh, like it's so bad. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do this from scratch. So it's like I'm trying to put like a word somewhere, and then the word kind of floats around to like the wrong side, and I'm trying to put a picture of like these cowboy boots that I really love. I'm like, oh my God, I want these boots, I want these boots. And so I found a really nice pair, and I was like, you know what, let me just put it up on my website. And I'm sorry, it's just, I found some music, how to put music on there, and I'm like, okay, so what is my concept here? So I am going to say that I'm in the works of also making my stuff more accessible. I said that because I get a lot of like emails and stuff, not emails, these messages on social media, and people like, where's your stuff? Like, I want your stuff. I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm going to upload all my papers, my manuscripts. And somebody said to me, don't do that, because what they'll do is they'll plagiarize the work. And I thought to myself, oh yeah, that's right. I should know this, right? And but I don't think like that. I don't even think to do that. So that's why, it sort of like is very exotic to me. And so I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I am going to actually start economizing my stuff, because I see some people, like, they write a lot of shit in Canada. And, I go to certain, like, arteries and, like, neighborhood planning arteries. Like, I just walk down different streets and stuff. And, I'm just like, these motherfuckers, they have what is ours. While we are mourning the loss of yet another black person who has been killed or murdered, or another black woman who is spiritually murdered, like, you get to a point where you just kind of say, you know what, enough is enough. So I'm not going to, like, focus on, they oppressed us, and I'm going to show how they do oppression in Canada. At least in the United States, they're very upfront with it. Like, they're very explicit. In Canada, they're very implicit. So they'll come right into your personal space, and then the next thing, you don't even know what you're dealing with. So, that seems to be the red version of Canada, governance-wise. But the blue version is like, hey, come on over. And somebody's like, oh, can I get a 4-1 egg? No problem. So you give them like a bucket of eggs, Okay, we're having like a neighborhood barbecue. You know what I mean? Oh, okay, let's go drive up to this other neighborhood. Let's bring them down here, let them see what it's like. You know what I mean? Let's help them economically. Let's help them help themselves up. Under red governance, it's not like that. So, I'm going to call my channel, I guess, or my network, something, another living, something, educational network. And then I was like, oh, let me get into like the Joyce Myers and what is the name of that other fucker, Joel something, and Olstein or something like that. Like, all that bullshit that they're preaching to the black community, not one of them has said, you know what, let me take $1 million and let me give it back into the community for entrepreneurship and education. None of them have said that. Those persons are selfish motherfuckers. And they praise their Jesus and God and all this nonsense. And then I look in the crowd and I'm like seeing all these black people crying and hands up, and I'm saying to myself, what the fuck is that? I'm sorry, persons, but I would be like the first to just say, I would like to praise Jesus, and then go on the mic and say, you know what, people, you really need to get yourself into something called critical discourse education. What these people are teaching you is to hate yourself and to further mock you when you are not in their circles. So you know what, let's all get up and get the fuck out of here and you know what, demand that we get all of our money back to let these motherfuckers know what it's like to starve. And then you know what, walk off stage with everybody. They don't even do that. And I do have a video that I put up some time ago about Joyce Myers and this Olstein guy, Ulster, whatever, and just the bullshit that they preach, about don't question anything, and just be submissive, and yes, accept rape, and accept self-hatred, and accept like this notion that you can't self-empower yourself, and you can't use your brains, and you can't use your your blackness, your Afrocentricness about you, right? So yeah, so that's what I was doing this morning. I was just sitting in the laboratory, and I said I'm going to convert my place into a studio, and welcome people in, and they can have a seat, and they can watch the filming, have some refreshments, have some 100% organic food, and then you know what? We're going to help them get them up and going with their entrepreneurship stuff. So starting with $100,000 salaries, that's my thing, and to go from $5,000 a year to $100,000 a year, I think that's very reasonable to start. The next piece, education. You're going to find yourself back in university, because you know what, we need people in the universities to help fix this bullshit, if you're interested in it. But see what it's like first. Don't knock it. Go in there and, you know what, put these people in their fucking place. And then I've got these videos about like just trying to help black women actually become professors, and just helping them to put their portfolios together and in their way. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for your patronage over the years. It really speaks to me, and I'm trying little things like even practicing my cadence and working on some neurological things I have with my speech. And believe it or not, I used to have a really bad stuttering problem, and I fixed it all myself neurologically. So didn't have to go to a Western informed neurological scientists of the world. I just said, you know what, I got to deal with this shit, and I'm gonna get into that in another video. But basically what I did was I listened to actually the music of Lenny Kravitz, and he has this one song, and it's basically where this white woman is moving, and she's moving like a snake. And what I did was I actually worked on that piece for 7 years, and I would just go through sections of it, the song, and then say, okay, you know what, let me try this, let me try that, and then there's all these other pieces to it. So I'm going to do a separate video on that, and using, for example, music to address neurological impediments, let's just call it that. So yeah, so thank you so much for your patronage, and I mean just your support, the comments, and I get insults as well. I welcome those too, but I don't patronize anything. I learn from it, because there's people that have said certain things to me that I'm like, you know what, they're actually right. I never thought about stuff like that. And then other times I'm like, wow, we're really fucked up. If you really think that, I'm Miss whatever, then I'm like, oh gosh, you really need to pick up a fucking book and read it, and don't knock it until you read it. So thank you so much for your patronage and your support. My email is justice. Sorry, that's my other email actually. It's actually justicegoose at gmail.com. That's my academic email. And my other email is goosecanada at gmail.com. So give me a shout out. I'm working on my website. Oh my gosh, it looks terrible. It looks so bad. But you know what? I'll be okay. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a really beautiful morning, afternoon, evening.